Hey everyone, my name is Jason Jaworska and I'm the product director for CI/CD here at GitLab. And I'm doing the kickoff for the CI team. What you'll find is that there's actually going to be another recording as well. This one is going to be focused on authoring and pipeline design features. And our other PM, Tao Yeager, along with Vitika, who joins me on this call, will be talking about pipeline interactions and processing and that sort of thing, features related to that. Yeah, Vitika, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, sure. I'm Vitika. I'm the product designer for CI group, Verify Stage.
Great. So here's our list of what we're planning on doing in the 13.4 release. So I'll just walk us through one by one. We'll open up a couple as well and dive into the details. The first item, and these are sorted by popularity, so the more interesting ones potentially for you will be up front, is allowing optional caching in failed builds. So when you're first setting up a pipeline, one of the things that's annoying today is that you can run your pipeline. Typically, you'll be wanting to cache like NPM dependencies. So you'll go run out and you'll do a full NPM sync and build and everything, get everything locally and cached. And then the build will fail because of some other mistake or whatever as you're iterating on the pipeline. And then right now, it just throws away the cache. So the next time you run another pipeline, it's going to rebuild the NPM cache. And really, in a lot of cases, you want to be able to say, I'm doing something like caching external dependencies, NPM or gems or for Ruby or whatever, like Rust for Cargo. And I just want to have my cache. And if my pipeline fails, it's actually nothing to do with my cache. So just always update it. And so what this new keyword will let you do is say, I want my cache to be persisted even if my pipeline fails. The reason you might not want to do that is if you are caching actual artifacts that you are building and producing with your own code. But in cases where you're not doing that, or if you're early days and you're just kind of getting everything working and you want to have it temporarily on until you turn it off later, this will speed up that initial iteration cycle for you. The next one is allowing child pipelines to trigger their own child pipelines. I think we're probably just going to add one level to this where you can have the parent pipeline, the child pipeline, and then the child pipeline can trigger one more level. It's sort of generally useful for any use case related to child pipelines, but really where this shines is when it relates to dynamic child pipelines. And if you want to be able to generate in your parent pipeline, initially you may want to just run a script that generates the state of the world and starts a job that then goes out, looks at your entire mono repo, finds all the folders that have changes in them, maps out all the dependencies, and does something really clever. Well, what you actually want there is to start to have that child pipeline be able to dynamically generate one more pipeline in order to be able to dynamically generate all of those jobs. So this will let you do that, and we hope that it makes a big difference for those use cases, and especially teams that are trying out child pipelines and have been blocked so far on that one. This one is a bug fix. So triggering multiple dynamic child pipelines causes all but ones to fail. That obviously shouldn't be happening. So we're going to be correcting that in this one. It's a popular issue. Another fix for child pipelines. It's a big focus for us over the next few releases to work out a lot of the bugs in the DAG, child parent pipelines, and with the rules keywords. So you'll see a lot of those. But what this is it's related to processing of the child pipeline, and if you retry it in the parent, it's not propagating to the child. We have another one here later, I think, or it's possibly in 13.5, where we're sort of fixing the other problem, where if you retry a child, it doesn't get attributed back to the parent. So just some more fixes coming in related to bridge pipelines. The ability to render a processed or merged GitLab CI YAML file is a nice one related to authoring. So once you start using includes, and those includes have includes, it can become quite complicated in your head to imagine what the merged GitLab CI YAML is that GitLab is going to be processing. It can become quite complex to think about it all. So what this is going to do is add an endpoint UX feature to be able to say, do the linting, but then also just send me back, the completely merged pipeline so that I can look at it myself. And that'll make some debugging workflows easier, and also just kind of make it possible to see what's happening in those more complicated scenarios. Okay, here's that other issue that I was talking about related to downstream jobs not updating the upstream. adding variable expansion needed for the ref keyword within needs. If you want to tell a needs job, so this is related to the DAG, that it you want it to use a certain ref when it is triggering, then you have to hard code that ref in there. But we're adding the ability in this release to be able to specify that with a variable as well. So that'll give you a little bit more flexibility in pipeline authoring. Next up is raising the user limit on DAG relationships. So the limit right now is 15, I believe, possibly 10, but I'm pretty sure it's 15. And we're going to be raising that to 50. And that's the relationship between one job to its children. That should help unlock more advanced use cases with the DAG. The reason we had a limit on it before was due to performance monitoring, but we've made some performance improvements related to DAG calculation and monitored those, and things seem to be going well. So we're planning on just opening that up and then continuing to iterate on that over time to increase the DAG limit, probably over a little bit each over the next few releases. And then improving the navigation between parent-child pipelines is one of the first ones that we're looking at that has some UX here. But this is all about making it more seamless. And I'd say that's our goal, is making it more seamless when you're navigating between a parent to a child to its children, and just smoothing that all out. But with the details, I want to turn this over to Vitika to talk about her thinking here in this design.
Sure, thanks, Jason. So if we look at the design, Jason, could you click on the tab?
Click on what?
The design is not appearing for me, sorry. Okay, I can still talk about it.
I'm not sure what you want me to
yeah, the screen just changed for me. Yeah, there is a delay. So if you look at this, like the bridge jobs, when they are triggering a downstream pipeline, earlier what was happening is the moment we click on the downstream pipeline, there was no relation, like no visual relation you could make to the trigger job. So now, as long as you're looking at any downstream pipeline, the trigger job would remain highlighted. That's the first thing. And the next one is earlier this entire tile, the downstream pipeline, was clickable. And when you click on it, it used to open the child pipeline or downstream pipeline on the side. But now we have made like small parts of it clickable so that we can include more triggers inside the tile. For example, if you click on the ID of the child pipeline, you'll go to the page that would give you details about the child pipeline. And similarly, if you click on the caret that's on the right-hand side, it would just expand the pipeline, and you can also close it from there. That's all.
Cool. Yeah, that's going to be so much nicer. So yeah, improving navigation there. This one is not 100% locked here, but I can talk about what we're still thinking about. So right now we have, if you're using the needs keyword and using a DAG pipeline, the way when manual behaves is different. It sort of makes sense on the one hand in that if you say, I need another job that's manual, then you kind of want maybe that pipeline or that job to wait on the manual job and just kind of sit there idling. But that's actually not what happens in stage processing, where if you have a job in a stage that's after a manual job, it will just immediately run it. So that inconsistency is causing a lot of confusion. There's also kind of like how allow failure behaves in the mix there as well. And what's not locked in about this yet is we don't want to make this change in a way that you cannot configure things to work the way that it does today. It will be a breaking change, unfortunately, and we'll be deprecating. We'll be sending a deprecation notice in a previous release, 13.3. But what's the best way to put this? The other issue that we're looking at that we might put in 13.4 instead of this one and then move this one to 13.5 is related to one of those use cases where people want to be able to say, I want this to block explicitly or I don't want this to block explicitly, and we have to think about how that relates to allow failure and when manual. So we want to make sure we do the right thing before we do any kind of breaking change. So that's the last bit of discussion that's still happening. If that's the case, then That issue will move into 13.4, which is not a breaking change. It just adds a new keyword. And then we will move this breaking change into 13.5. But something to be aware of, and yeah, something that's coming. There'll be more details coming on that in the deprecation notice that comes with 13.3. Showing the relevant values for job names in matrix builds. Matrix build was an awesome feature that we released just recently, 13.2, I believe, or maybe the very beginning of 13.3. And what it does is it lets you define a matrix like here, where you can see, on the one axis of the matrix, you've got the stack, and the other you've got provider, and then we automatically create all of the jobs for you. Well, what's happening today is that it's just showing a job name, like one of two, or in this case, it would have been one of eight or whatever, if I do the math real quickly. And instead, we want to show what the values for the two variables are in every case. Because if you've got this matrix here and you just see this list, you sort of have to open up them all in order to see which one is the one you're looking for. But if the jobs are named something like this, then it would just be very clear at a glance what you're looking at. So that's that fix. And then the last one we have is making the web IDE the preferred experience for editing the GitLab CI YAML. And what this is about at an overall level is that we're adding a lot of great features to the web IDE. Syntax highlighting, there'll be visualizations and other cool things coming. Right now, the default experience is if you click on the, add GitLab CI YAML to this product, or edit GitLab CI YAML, then you just go to the single file editor. And we want to change that to be, by default, the nicer experience. So with that, I'll turn this one over to you also, Vitika.
Sure, thanks, Jason. So if you look at the screen in the design proposal, we are proposing to add this banner, an alert banner at the top that would tell users about what's available in the web IDE and how they would be getting a better experience in editing their GitLab CI YAML file if they move to the web IDE. And we're also providing a trigger from the banner itself, from where they could take their content straight away and open it straight away in the web IDE.
Right. Yeah. So this would be what you'd see in the single file editor, just kind of like a note that you can go there. But this was the button that I was talking about, where you can set up CID/CD. We won't take you to the single file editor, which then has a note that there's a better editor. This will just take you directly to the web IDE. So that'll be nice, I think. And the editing experience really is growing quite a lot. So if you have any feedback on that as well, it'd be great to hear how you're liking the new web IDE features that are around editing the GitLab CI YAML. So that's it for us. Anything else that you wanted to add, Vitika, overall?
Nothing from my side.
Cool. Well, hopefully these are some exciting features related to authoring. Hopefully this new format where we're talking about authoring and pipeline design in a separate video is interesting as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time.